Hello, welcome to a new video. I do not know which video is going to be going up first, whether it's this one or my haul video. So happy new year. It's 2024 now. December wrap up time. Now December was a good month for me. Like a really good month. I also read a very wide variety of things, which was great. I read 25 books. 25 books. 25 books. Like, that is ridiculous. I'm so happy. Pages read was 7,025 and I listened to 30.5 hours of audiobooks and I didn't DNF anything. I think that's a good start or a good end to 2023. So ratings wise, I had 1 2-star and 2 3-stars, 10 4-stars and 12 5-stars, but no DNFs, which I'm really happy about. So we're just gonna get straight in there. So the first book I read was The Power by LJ Smith. I do not have this book to hold up because I have already got it out of my house. My sister is having this trilogy. She's welcome to it. I don't ever want to see this trilogy ever again. I'm done. This was a 2-star. This was my 2-star. I hated this. I mentioned in the vlog where I read it, I did like a spoilery hands up thing, I think, of like my main reason. But yeah, I hated this series. Ruined the TV show for me completely, which was great. It's great. Moving on, I read Secret Santa by Andrew Schaefer. This was a 3-star. So this was like a Christmassy horror type book. And I got this on NetGalley a while back. As in, this came out in 2020. So I got it in 2020 on NetGalley. And then I kept like either forgetting about it at Christmas or just not getting around to it. I finally got around to it because the audiobook is on Audible Plus. So I listened to the audiobook and had the ebook, and not gonna lie, I would have liked a bit more story. It was very short, which, you know, I got the job done, but I would have liked a bit more story. So maybe like a few extra pages would have been nice to just build up a bit. But it was pretty creepy. It wasn't anything special. It was okay. But I'm glad I finally read it. So there's that. Next up, I read Obsidio by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This was obviously a 5-star. This was a reread. I have just realised I have forgotten to read Memento. So that's going to be one of my first reads of 2024. Because I've already hit 200 books for the year. And I'm not doing 201 because that would stress me out. Absolutely love this. There was quite a few things I had forgotten had happened, and it wasn't until like a few pages before I remembered, and I was like, oh my god, I can't wait. Love this so much. Next, I read A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber. This was a 5-star, which I find is hilarious because this copy I'm holding up is Chloe's. She lent it to me and she 2-starred it. But I 5-starred it and I loved it. So that's the main thing. I really enjoyed. I was really worried about the ending because I hated the ending to Caraval. Like, fully hated it. So I was worried because this follows my favourite character who was wronged in the first trilogy. But I absolutely loved the ending. I thought it was really well done, and the epilogue as well, like there are different epilogues for different editions, and there is a Google Drive that someone has done, like a Google Doc, where someone has put all the different epilogues on there, and that person is a legend. I love them. And I read all the different epilogues, and now I'm like, I need more books in this like world, please and thank you. Next up, we have Heartstopper Volume 5 by Alice Oseman. This is obviously a 5-star. I am so excited for more of this because this was just such a good volume. I really liked how it dealt with certain topics, and I'm excited to see where a certain topic goes in the next volume because it's close to me. But anyway, I really loved this. Obviously, it was so cute, and Nick and Charlie are the cutest and I love them. Next up, I did my Tori Made Me Do It vlog and it was a success. So first off, I read Poison Study by Maria V. Snyder and this was a 5-star. This was so good. I am so annoyed at myself that I have literally owned the first 3 books in this series for about 6 years and I've only just got to it. I will be making it a mission to at least read book 2 and 3 next year, and then I'm going to need to get the rest of the books because I want to continue the series. Absolutely loved this. Ari and Janko, best characters in this book. I'm so excited for more of them because I just love them. But also just in general, this book was great. I loved it. Next up was Zom 100 Volume 1 by Haro Aso. I loved this. This was a 4-star. I need to continue this series. I need to get Volume 2 because this was great. I cannot believe I hadn't read this sooner. I think I've had this for about a year. I've had this since my birthday, so almost a year, like 9 months. I loved this. The characters were great. It's zombies, which is always a win. So yeah. Next was I Hear the Sunspot Volume 1 by Yuki Firmino. This was a 4-star as well. This was incredibly cute. I am already obsessed with this. I loved the characters. I loved the plot. The art style was adorable. And I'm just so here for these characters. I want every piece of happiness for them. They are adorable. So adorable. And then I had a bit of a break from the Tori vlog and I read Kiss Her Once for Me by Alison Cochrane, which is of course a Christmas book. Chloe recommended this book to me because she put this author's other book on the vlog I did for her back in September, and I knew I would like the writing style because obviously I really like The Charm Offensive, but this book was everything. It's sapphic, it's Christmas, and I am fully obsessed with it. I need a physical copy of this book because I want to reread this like every Christmas because it was so good. I just this book and the plot was just so good. It had fake dating, but not in the way most people expect the fake dating to be. Like, she wasn't fake dating someone and fell in love with them. No, she was fake dating someone and it turns out she was already in love with his sister. Like, I want that sort of fake dating thing. This is perfect. So yeah, this 5-star, loved it. And then we go back to the Tori vlog. I read Spy X Family Volume 1 by Tatsuya Endo. I am already obsessed with this to the point, if you watch my haul, if it's up before this, Gemma's already got me Volume 2. I cannot wait to continue this. It was so good. So good. I'm obsessed with the characters already. Anya is the best. Anya's already my favourite character. And then I wrapped up the Tori vlog very well with Full Metal Alchemist Volume 1 by Hiroma Arakawa. I really enjoyed this. This is a 4-star. I cannot wait to continue this. It's going to be a bit more difficult for me to get these because I'm getting the pretty collectors, like Full Metal edition, instead of just like normal paperbacks. So it's going to take me longer because they're a bit pricier, like my card captor ones. But I will definitely be continuing this because I really enjoyed this. It was such a like fun start, and there was like one bit in particular that had me giggling. Like, it was great. I loved it. Next up was my reread of Queen of Shadows by Sarah J Maas. I tabbed. There's a lot of tabbing. Weirdly, whilst this is probably my second least favourite. So my least favourite in the series is Crown of Midnight, but I always remember what happens in Crown of Midnight. I can never remember what happens in this one until I start reading it. And then I'm just like, yeah, of course. Why is this like my second least favourite? This is such a good book. I actually don't think this is my second least favourite. It just never actually sticks with me until I start reading the book again. And then everything comes flooding back and what happens in this one. I think it's because Empire of Storms is just such a strong book that it overshadows this one, because this one was like just before it. But it's an amazing book. Obviously a 5-star. I'm really enjoying rereading these. Is it any surprise? No. Next up was my Christmassy vlog, and I read A Boy Called Christmas by Matt Haig. This was a 4-star. This was really cute. I really enjoyed this. I absolutely hated his aunt. His aunt was vile and I did not like her in the slightest. But the actual story of this was so cute, and I really loved how he becomes Father Christmas. It was so cute. I definitely am gonna read the other books in this series next Christmas. I really wanted to this year, but it wasn't gonna happen. Life was getting a bit overwhelming and it wasn't gonna happen. But next year I've already got 2 books on my mind. And then I went in a different direction for Christmassy books and read Make You Mine This Christmas by Lizzie Huxley Jones. This was a 4-star. Now, this was almost a 5-star. The only reason this didn't get a 5-star was because I read Kiss Her Once for Me like 5 days before, or like a week before or something. And they're very similar plots. Don't get me wrong, they are very different books, but she's fake dating him and falls in love with his sister. Very similar plots. So whilst I really enjoyed this and it was great and it was a 4-star and I would probably read it again, Kiss Her Once for Me was just better, like done better. So yeah, I don't know, but I did really enjoy this and the characters were really cute, and it was set in the UK, whereas the other one is set in the US. But anyway, and then we went back to the other side of Christmas and I read A Christmasaurus Carol by Tom Fletcher. This was a 5-star. Are we shocked? No. I am obsessed with this series. This series is like my favourite Christmassy series to read. I love reading these books, and this one was so cleverly done with the way Tom Fletcher has integrated A Christmas Carol into this book. I genuinely had no idea what was going to happen, and I was loving every second of it. It was absolutely amazing and I'm so happy. And then we went back to the other side of Christmas and I read A Merry Little Meet Cute by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. This was a 4-star. This was spicy. I mean, I don't know. So it doesn't actually specify on the blurb, but when you start reading it and you get to know the main characters, you'll understand why it's so spicy. But this was great. I will say I'm very disappointed because I have found out from Ash reading it that the sequel has a trope I hate reading. It's not a trigger trope, it's just a trope that I am instantly, if I find out it's in a book, I'm like, I don't want to read this book. So I'm really sad that I won't be reading the sequel to this because it does follow different characters, but it is a sequel. But I will be reading the novella because the novella doesn't have that trope. But yeah, 4-star, really enjoyed it, spicy. And then I feel like I should mention at round about this point, I did actually finish Landscape with a Blur of Conquerors, which is the fan fiction that the Hurricane Wars has been created from. I started reading this in October, I read a little bit in November, and I have finally finished it in December. I was not going into 2024 with an uncompleted fan fiction. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was a 5-star. I'm really happy that I can log it on my Goodreads because that fanfic was 1,216 pages, like, and that has gone on my core pile and my Goodreads because that was chunky. But I'm really excited to read Hurricane Wars and find out how it's going to be made into not Star Wars. But I absolutely loved this. I really loved how certain things were taken. So obviously this takes place after Force Awakens because it's Kylo and Rey. And I really like how bits from The Last Jedi were integrated into it, but done differently. I really enjoyed it. It was a great time, even though it was a long time. It was worth it. I really enjoyed it. And then while I was at Ashes, I don't have them because they're Ashes and I read them at Ashes, but Ash lent me her 2 volumes that she has of the Mighty Nine Origins. So first off, I read Not the Brave. This was a 5-star. Are we shocked that it's a 5-star? No. I will say this was a slightly lower 5-star because it made me cry. If you know Critical Role and you know the Mighty Nine characters, you will know Not's backstory. And Not's backstory is not a happy one. Not a happy one. And as great as this volume was, it made me sad. And I just didn't like being sad. But this was a 5-star and I absolutely loved it. And then I read the Jester volume. Jester is my favourite character. So this was a 5-star as well. Jester is my favourite character in Campaign 2. Is it because she was created by Laura Bailey? Possibly. Because Laura Bailey creates the best characters. That's neither here or there. I really loved this. This was fun. It didn't make me cry, unlike Not. And it was just such a fun time, and I just really enjoyed seeing Jester as a kid and then a teenager. Like, she hasn't changed much. It was great. And then I read Brothers to the Death by Darren Shan. I have finished the Larkin Crepsley series. This was a 4-star. I really enjoyed this. This was my favourite out of the 4. I think the 2nd and 4th one have been my favourites, if I recall. But I really enjoyed this one. I really liked seeing how everything got wrapped up, ready for the Darren Shan saga, because obviously this takes place through Larkin Crepsley's life before he meets Darren. And I really enjoyed seeing his life, especially one character in particular who's a big part of this series but is not in the Darren Shan saga. I really enjoyed seeing what happened there. And just, it was a fun time. I'm really glad I finally read these because I loved Larkin Crepsley, like, in the first series. It was great. Then I read volumes 7, 8 and 9 of The Wicked and the Divine by Kieran Gillen. So volumes 7 and 9 were both 4 stars. Volume 8 was a 3-star. Volume 7 ends on such a moment. And then volume 8 was such a disappointment because it was just flashbacks of previous lives of the gods. And it was just so disappointing to me. Like, I feel like I would have enjoyed it more if it had been earlier in the series. I understand why they couldn't put it earlier in the series because of things you find out in volume 7. But I still didn't like it where it was because it just ruined the flow of things for me. But then luckily volume 9 then come and blew it out of the park and it was great. I really enjoyed volume 9. I loved how everything was wrapped up and I thought it was great. So I finished the series. Yes. And then the final day of the year, I needed to read 2 more books to hit 200. So I read The Backstages Volume 2 by James Tinney IV. Absolutely loved this. This was a 5-star. It's just such a fun, weird concept. And this one was even weirder. And if you've read it, Polaroid is creepy as hell. And I love it so much. It was great. And the characters are adorable. I just can't get over the characters. And then I finished up the year with Blue Exorcist Volume 1 by Kazuo Kato. This is a 4-star. I'm ending the year on a 4-star. I'm very happy with that. A 4 or 5-star for the end of the year is perfect for me. And I ended with a 5 and a 4, which is perfect. So yeah, this was great. I really enjoyed getting to know this character and I cannot wait to see where future volumes go. I do need to get future volumes. But I'm really excited. This is great. It's got demons. Like, what more could you want? But this is great. The characters are great. And I'm excited to continue. So that was my December 2023 reading wrap up. That was a big one. That's what she said. There was a lot of books there. 25 books. But I'm really happy. And yeah, I had a 2-star and 2 3-stars, but apart from that, it was a ridiculously strong month, and I will take that as a win. But that was my wrap up. My favourite book. So I was having a crisis because 2 books came out on the same number on CawPile, and that was A Christmasaurus Carol and the Jester Mighty Nine Origins book. And I looked at them, and with my nephew's help, because that 2 of them helped me as well, we came to the decision, this is my favourite book of the month. It's Jester. It's Jester Lavore. Because it's Jester. It's Laura Bailey. Of course it's Jester. Sorry, Christmasaurus. You're a close second. But let me know in the comments below what your favourite book you read in December was. I hope you had a lovely Christmas, whether you celebrate it or not. I hope you had a lovely time. And Happy New Year. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Bye.